is a rematch of the 2016 NLCS. The Cubs and the Dodgers on a gorgeous day in Glendale, Arizona. And the fans coming out early to take in BP, taking some of the practice on the backfields, and then filing in here to Camelback Ranch for what promises to be a fun afternoon here in the Cactus League. Joe Davis with Oral Hershiser. Alana Rizzo joins us in just a bit. A few changes this offseason, not a ton though. The roster remains mostly intact. One of the changes though is at second base. The Dodgers go and get Logan Forsythe in a small sample. It's only been a few weeks in spring, but so far so good.
One of the biggest stories in the offseason was who's going to play second base for the Los Angeles Dodgers. When Logan Forsythe was acquired, everybody thought maybe a step down from a Brian Dozier who they thought they might get, but there is no question or speculation who's going to play second base for the Dodgers now. He's hitting .509 this spring. We know spring training stats don't matter, but it matters a lot when you come to a new ball club.
So we start talking about a new name and Logan Forsythe. It's an old name who's resurfacing now, and Hyunjin Ryu, who's trying to fight his way into the rotation picture.
Well, they want him in the rotation. It's all now about being healthy, building up the endurance, and everything has been fantastic for him. He's checked all the boxes as far as health, the arm's working well, the breaking stuff's there. The next step for him is building the endurance and making sure no fires pop up, and hopefully today he gets through his outing.
Trying to go a few innings today against Eddie Butler of the Cubs. We've got first pitch from Arizona on the other side of this break. Dodgers baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Carl's Jr. The $4 real deal. 4 items for just $4 at Carl's Jr. Temperature into the 90s today in Glendale, Arizona, as the Cubs and Dodgers get ready to face off for the second time this spring. With Oral Hershiser and Alana Rizzo, Joe Davis on hand, and the last 2 National League Managers of the Year on hand as well. Of course, Dave Roberts in the Dodgers dugout, Joe Madden, the winner 2 years ago. So here's the lineup we half-jokingly talked about during the Open. Not many names in here that you recognize. LaStella has big league time. Almora is one of their top prospects, but just broke in last year. Matt Caesar's been a big guy off of the bench for him in recent seasons. Ian Happ, one of the top prospects. And then Munenori Kawasaki, the most experienced guy in this lineup, and he's played less than 300 major league games in his career. And Hyun-Jin Ryu, who's pitched in just one big league game all over the last 2 seasons. He had the shoulder surgery that wiped out all of 2015. Tried to come back last year. Had one start in July, then started dealing with some elbow issues and had a debridement surgery on that elbow that shut down his season. But by all accounts, as healthy as he's been in a while, and he's looked pretty sharp this spring.
The ball's coming out of his hand very well. They're actually to the stage now trying to build some endurance. And with trying to go 3 innings today, we'll watch the pitch count. They'll probably try and keep him under 45 or 50 pitches. But the way he's thrown the ball so far, he has looked like the arrow is pointing up as far as health and the ability.
Made his Cactus League debut on Saturday. 2 shutout innings against the Angels. And he goes to work in his second outing of the spring with strike 1 to Tommy LaStella. One of the only recognizable names in the Cubs lineup tonight. They had a night game yesterday. The Rizzos and the Bryants and the Schwarbers of the world were all in there. And with a quick turnaround, and by Cactus League standards, a long trip here to Glendale from Mesa. Those guys got to stay back.
Dodgers putting out a very representative lineup here for the home crowd. Major League Baseball actually has rules about how many you bring that people will recognize, because these fans here in spring training are paying for these seats. This means the gates are not just open, and so Major League Baseball wants to make sure that the fans get to see the stars that they came to see here a little bit more up close and personal in Arizona.
One of those guys is Yasmani Grandal behind the plate, who just had that ball fouled off of him. That front foot.
That right toe. Yasmani talking about the health of his legs all spring and how that's one of the reasons he's hitting so well and catching so well, enjoying a healthy spring. Right away, Mr. Ryu going to his breaking ball here, left on left, and in spring training you think, why are you exposing your pitches? Well, you don't really think about, I'm going to have to face this guy 3 times today. So he's out there with a plan of what he wants to do for himself.
It just misses off of the inside, 2-2.
Some people would think that a fastball is the hardest pitch to throw in spring training, but really you need more arm strength to throw your breaking stuff, because you have to wait a little longer on the release point. You're trying to get to the front of the ball to spin the front, where the back of the ball is what you've been pretty much throwing all off season.
LaStella digs that one off of the dirt, rolls it to Gonzalez, and Ryu covering for the first out.
Ryu's scamper over there, Joe, looked like a little dancing bear. He doesn't have the biggest stride for a guy as tall as he is. Kind of runs on his tiptoes. Watch the cat-like reflexes right here as he just sprints over there with those 1.5-foot strides. Get over. And they do enough of that here in spring training with the PFP, pitcher's fielding practice.
Now we kid, but in his first outing of the spring on Saturday, he made a really nice defensive play, stabbing a ball that was behind him. Well, they didn't have to run to get to that one. Albert Almora Jr. looks at ball 1.
Yeah, sometimes on the score sheet, when a guy makes a great play, I'll put their position number and a star. I don't know what I'll put for that covering of first base.
Here's a 1-0, and that's up. 2 balls and no strikes on the 22-year-old Albert Almora Jr., who figures to split time in center for the Cubs this year. Really just 2 significant changes on the Cubs roster. That is no Aroldis Chapman in the closer spot. They filled that with Wade Davis from the Royals, and then no Dexter Fowler in center. Almora yanks one down the left field line for a base hit into the corner. Yeah, and he's into second with a double as Gutierrez digs it out.
It was a nice piece of hitting, keeping this ball fair. This ball buries in on him on the inside part of the plate, and he hooks this ball down the line, didn't hook it foul. And Mr. Ryu will get to practice from the stretch now with a man on second. Something that Clayton Kershaw had to wait a while for and actually forced himself to pitch from the stretch. He is having such a great spring that he pitched an inning from the stretch with nobody on, just so he could get an opportunity to do that.
Several outings into the spring, Kershaw had as many hits himself as a hitter as he had allowed pitching.
He just plays at another level.
Timer Candelario. It's one foul, strike one. We'll get to see Kershaw tomorrow. The Mariners coming here to Camelback Ranch. You and I and Alana will be on hand for that. Alex Wood in a split squad game will travel and start for the Dodgers as well.
And that's going to be under the lights. 7:05 start. Different things that happen in spring that'll get your adrenaline going, other than for the veterans that are just trying to get in shape. You know, the night games are exciting when all of a sudden somebody like Kenley Jansen stops pitching second in a game and is going to pitch actually as a closer. The Freeway Series, and this year, of course, the WBC got some guys adrenaline pumping.
That's inside, and it's 1-2. Have you bought in and following the WBC and enjoying it?
I follow it when I'm not having a dinner that interrupts it, but right now I'm going to start watching it now that we've moved past the first round and we're into the semis.
Big win for the U.S. last night. Come from behind fashion against Venezuela.
They were down 2-0 and it was a final 4-2.
Rode the long ball to it. Adam Jones hit a home run to tie it, and then Eric Hosmer had the game-winning homer. It was off of Cubs setup man Hector Rondon. And of course, the most recent Dodger-related WBC news is that Kenley Jansen will join Team Netherlands at Dodger Stadium next week for the semis. And Ryu gets his first strikeout of the game, pulling the string on Candelario.
Using all his pitches, comfortable with all of them, and locating them throughout the spring. When you talk about a guy coming back from surgeries and multiple years off, Hyunjin Ryu, world-class athlete with great wiring, just comes right back into it, finds his natural mechanics and release point, and has had an outstanding rise as far as health and ability.
That's Caesar now with a man at second and 2 gone. And Ryu starts him with a big breaking ball that's in there for a strike. Caesar may have his sights set on a different tournament in the WBC. He's a Villanova guy. It's Wildcats trying to repeat in the NCAA basketball tournament. He golfs a base hit into left center that'll begin the scoring. Almora Jr.'s in from second on an RBI single from Matt Caesar, and the Cubs lead 1-0.
Look like back-to-back off-speed pitches gets him out front, but there's enough barrel left for him to find some outfield grass. Nice piece of hitting, and some base running exercise out there.
So the second hit of the inning against Ryu, and it brings up one of the top prospects in the Cubs system in Ian Happ. And you see the spring numbers confirming that prospect status. A lot of times you'll see guys that get their first opportunity in big league camp, and there are people that track the prospect rankings and they see poor numbers and say, what's going on there? Then there are cases like this where confirms those highly touted rankings for a guy like Happ, who's quickly down 0-2 against Ryu.
A lot of the prospects / young guys do end up having great springs because the veterans are just working on getting themselves in shape, and they're feasting on guys that are throwing mostly fastballs or haven't brought their location to the game yet. And all of a sudden the reality strikes when they get to the big leagues for real.
And Ryu strikes him out on 3 pitches, but the Cubs get one in the first inning on a couple of hits. Matt Caesar brings home Albert Almora Jr. and the Dodgers come to bat for the first time after this. Dave Roberts and the Dodgers ready to bat for the first time this afternoon, and here's his starting lineup. Pretty representative of what you may see at times during the regular season, with Logan Forsythe leading things off. Then it's Turner at third, Grandal catching and hitting third, Gonzalez, Puig, and Peterson in the middle, and then Gutierrez and Taylor 7th and 8th in front of Ryu. And they'll face off with a guy that the Dodgers are a little bit familiar with from his time in Colorado. It's Eddie Butler, a former top 50 prospect in all of baseball, but really struggled in his few years in the majors with the Rockies and was acquired in a trade for a minor leaguer for the Cubs this offseason. And he goes to work against Forsythe with strike one. One ball and one strike.
Eddie Butler, with his off-speed stuff and his breaking ball, might find it a little friendlier in the confines of Wrigley Field with the humidity and the heat there in Chicago compared to the air in Colorado.
Forsythe bounces one to third for Tommy La Stella, and the first out. Yeah, not a fun place to break in. You see so many guys struggle when they break in with the Rockies. And Butler hit rock bottom last year with an ERA above 7 in his third season with time in the majors. And he even admitted that he got to overthinking. It was the first time that he'd really experienced any kind of significant failure. Blazed through the minors after he was a first-round pick. And sometimes a fresh start can be all a guy with that much talent needs. Justin Turner hit his first home run of the spring yesterday and takes strike one.
Ken Gurnick wrote a very in-depth article on the upswing of Justin Turner's power last year with 27 home runs. The year before only had 16. Justin really revealing the theory behind that is a conscious effort to try and hit more of the bottom of the ball, to get the ball in the air more. With the advent of all these shifts, and not the advent, but really the significant use by teams to all hitters, Justin making an adjustment back.
For so long, the conventional wisdom, even when you're coming up playing Little League, is hit down in the ball, right? You don't want an uppercut swing. You don't want to get the bottom of the ball. But you said it, as the game has changed, so is that approach.
And Justin said it is not about changing his swing, it's just changing the vision of what part of the ball he's trying to hit.
It's one in the air to deep right center field. Almora Jr. converging with Caesar, who's got it on the run for the second out.
And here in Arizona, the ball in the air is going to travel. So right there, he didn't get a large piece of that one, but he still hit a long way.
Opposite of what we saw in the WBC game last night, where everything was dying until those couple of balls went out for the U.S. late. San Diego known to eat up those fly balls, especially this time of year.
Most of the National League West has good pitchers parks, with Dodger Stadium, San Diego, San Francisco.
Yasmani Grandal looks at ball one. It's a guy that knows very well about the way Petco Park plays with his time with the Padres. It's there from 2012 to 2014, and now entering his third year with the Dodgers.
Another guy who knows Petco Park on deck, Mr. Adrian Gonzalez. One of the most powerful hitters to come through San Diego. And now, of course, in Dodger blue, and doing a great job.
And as you say that, I guess it's 3 of the first 4 in the lineup, because you've got Logan Forsythe leading off, who began his career there. Here's a 2-1. And Grandal looks at ball 3. A good spring for Grandal, hitting above 400. You mentioned it when he took the ball, fouled off his toe during the top half of this inning. Health has been a big part of the reason why he's had this good start to the spring.
Seems like over the last 3 years, his health has always kind of been in question or really been upgraded, but then all of a sudden something happens. And that's the really hard part about being an offensive catcher, because you get nicked up back there so much. A lot of times they do get off to very hot starts, but then something gets them. Playing alongside Mike Scioscia for years, he'd always hit like 400 in April, coming out healthy and feeling great, and then all of a sudden the wear and tear of catching and the foul balls off of him, all of a sudden the average would start to drop.
2015, it was a shoulder injury late that really derailed Yasmani. There were nagging injuries early last year. And he goes down swinging as Butler retires the Dodgers in order in the first. And after one in Glendale, the Cubs in front 1-0.
Back to Camelback Ranch, and Mr. Ryu on the mound. 19 pitches in the first inning, using all his pitches at the slider. Stole a strike with a curveball right there. Came back with a changeup that ended up costing him a base hit and an RBI. But getting his work in, even with the high heater that ended the inning.
Gave up the one and a base hit to Matt Caesar, but collected a couple of strikeouts. Guy that has made just the one start the last two seasons. It came against San Diego in early July. And someone who in 2013 and 2014, when he broke into the majors with the Dodgers, his fastball was typically 90, 91. The fastball was mid-80s in that one start in July. So while it was the injury issues that ultimately derailed the season, that velocity would tell you he probably wasn't quite ready to be a major league pitcher again, even had the injuries not stepped in and put the year to a close.
Yeah, the radar guns can sometimes tell you that something is wrong. Is it mechanics or is it health? And a lot of times when it's that big a drop, it's a health issue.
John Andrioli out of the sixth spot, leading off the second for the Cubs, and ahead 2-0.
The thing you always have to remember about with Ryu is that he doesn't pitch at max effort. If he gets into a jam, he can crank it up an extra 5 miles an hour. He believes that changing speeds is as much down as it is up. And you can't change speeds up if you're throwing every pitch at 100% effort. A lot of people in the big leagues are believers of that, but it takes a lot of confidence to pitch with about 80% effort on your fastball, knowing that you can change gears and go up a notch, not just with adrenaline or situation, but with your own theory. I think that's why his control also is so meticulous, because he's not on the edge of things falling apart mechanically with the effort. And he has such great rhythm and can repeat.
Full count on Andrioli. Caratini and Kawasaki to follow in the second for the Cubs.
If you compare it to golf, Joe, it's not like he's out there hitting wedges, but he's probably hitting about 5 irons.
This one's rolled. I guess putter for short. And Chris Taylor throws out Andrioli for the first out of the inning.
It's not like it's a par 5. He's got the driver in hand. He's going to try and reach there in 2 with every pitch. He's out there with good rhythm, good balance, and can repeat that motion. And really believes in the location and the movement over the velocity part of the equation.
Cubs catcher today is Victor Caratini, and here he is. So much written these days about Tommy John surgery, and anytime, for example, you're talking about Julio Urias and everything the Dodgers are doing to try and protect his arm, the instinct is to think elbow, trying to protect his elbow. Less written about is shoulder problems, and that's what Hyun-Jin Ryu went through. With the labrum surgery, it kept him out for all of 2015. You can relate firsthand, having gone through shoulder surgery yourself.
3 Mytech bone anchors in the front of my shoulder where they had to reconstruct my anterior labrum, the labrum that's the front of your shoulder, and it's almost like the rim of a golf tee for my situation, where that holds the ball on the tee. You've got the structure of the shoulder, and of course you've got the areas that there, the muscles, the synchronous movement of the rotator cuff muscles, but you also have some structure in there, and when the structure disintegrates, it really starts to rub into the bones, start to rub into the rest of the muscles up there, and you can get hurt.
My favorite oral is Dr. Oral. You could go on the shoulder, and you became an expert on it from going through what you went through.
Read a lot of books. Really was a big why guy with Dr. Frank Jobe, God rest his soul, and Pat Screener, my therapist, that helped bring me back. And yeah, I wanted to be able to describe to them what was going on, and I actually wanted to understand what was going on in my elbow and in my shoulder. Sometimes those hurdles and injuries in your career make you better, because it forces you to do things to get smarter, to get stronger.
You talked about what you went through in your shoulder. There are a lot of different things that can happen within his shoulder. The key differentiator when you're looking at guys returning was the rotator cuff damage. And in the case of Ryu, it wasn't. It was just labrum. And there's some significant numbers you can look at when it comes to the part of the shoulder that was repaired. So when a guy has labrum and rotator cuff repairs, under 60% of the time they get back to their previous form in the major leagues. But when it's just the labrum, 80% of the time they get back to at least the level that they pitched at previously. It's upstairs on Kawasaki, 1 ball and 1 strike. And again, with Ryu, it was just the labrum.
That's a comparison between the muscles that are having to do the work to throw the ball, the rotator cuff muscles, and compared to the structure where they can repair that structure. And a lot of times with the labrum, you're not replacing the whole thing, you're just trimming it up. It's broken off a little bit, but there's still maybe 70, 80%. Really kind of equates to your numbers that you're quoting, that there's still 70, 80% of the labrum there to do the job. They're just clipping off the part that has torn and is causing the pain.
Started feeling that sore shoulder in his second big league season. It was in 2014, and before that, his first 2 seasons in the majors, there are some numbers that would put Hyun-Jin Ryu among the best pitchers in the National League. FIP, fielding independent pitching. He's number 4 in the National League in those 2 seasons combined. The few guys that he's behind: Clayton Kershaw, Adam Wainwright, Cliff Lee. So you may look at a category and scoff at it if it's one you're not familiar with. And we'll, over the course of the season, talk about different advanced stats categories without trying to bog you down. But I think one way you can quantify how important a category is, or how helpful it is to look at the guys that it ranks highly. And when he's on a list that's behind Kershaw, Wainwright, and Cliff Lee, you know that it's probably a pretty good depiction of how good he was. That ball's just fouled.
You're so right. And you know, a lot of those formulas originate with ideas and theories of games and how a game is won. And then when you compare it to historical rankings, and all of a sudden Babe Ruth's near the top, you know, Mike Trout's near the top, Clayton Kershaw's at the top or near the top, you go, okay, pretty good formula. And then they continue to work on them. And I do believe, when I've seen Ryu at his best and over those 2 years, that he was one of the elite pitchers just from the eyeball test, which has no formula to it.
And he gets Kawasaki to chase for strike 3, his third punch out.
These are significant pitches for Ryu. This is not just rehab, build your endurance pitches. You can see he's out there competing, and that's a different level of stress on your shoulder, on your arm, than just going out there and trying to get in shape and I've already got a job. Now, he's out there competing the last 2 innings with the double that ended up scoring on a kind of a bloop base hit, and now really going after that pitch away right there and getting him some extension and really making it bite. That was a good sign.
And he gets strike 1 on Chris Dominguez. Spent last year in AAA with the Red Sox. By major league time, he's the 4th most experienced guy in this Cubs lineup today.
How much time does he have?
22 games. 1-1 or 0-2. It was with the Giants in 2014. He debuted with 8 games. They were the team that drafted him.
So when you're a September call-up and that's the end of your career, that's called a cup of coffee?
Suppose it would be.
So he's got about 3/4 cup.
14 games with the Reds as well a couple of years ago, and then, like we mentioned, just in the minors last year. Signed a minor league deal with the Cubs this offseason. Ryu had 2 Ks in the first, trying to get 2 Ks here in the second. And he does with another off-speed against Dominguez. 4 strikeouts through 2 innings for Hyun-Jin Ryu. And a 1-0 game on a beautiful day in Arizona. Dodgers bring the middle third of the order to the plate here in the second, and that begins with Adrian Gonzalez playing his first game in the field this spring for LA today. DH'd a little bit before he went off with Team Mexico for the WBC, but starting at first for the first time. Puig and Peterson to follow against Eddie Butler, whose first pitch of the second is fouled off, strike 1.
Well, Adrian was slowed a little bit with the elbow that kept him out, but pushed really hard to play in the WBC with his brother being the manager of Team Mexico. And he doesn't feel like he is behind. He has enough time to get ready for the regular season. Said in the open that he just needs to see breaking balls from both arms, left and right side. He likes to see the changeup from both sides, the split finger from both sides, and gets most of his work and his reps in the cage getting ready. So just visually likes to see the big league pitcher in a game.
Pulls a bouncing ball to first and taken to the bag by Candelario. One away in the second. He said that early on in his time And pool play in the WBC with Mexico still felt off, still felt timing wasn't quite there. But his final few ABs for Team Mexico, it started to click. Results weren't necessarily there, but this time of year, whether it's spring training or it's WBC, it's so much more than about the results.
It sure is, and especially with a guy like Adrian, that you know how well he prepares in season and out of season.
Here's Puig taking ball one.
Yasiel starting to make some strides with his rhythm and his swing here in spring, making some adjustments.
Hard hit to short. Kawasaki. A couple of ground balls to begin this second. So 5 up and 5 down for Eddie Butler. Brings up Jock Peterson. 3 home runs so far this spring. A lot of folks around here expecting a big jump for him in year 3 in the majors.
If you really review what he's gone through with coming on with a splash, especially with the glove and the defense in center field, and then at times showing production and lightning in his bat constantly, but consistency not there, and then almost to a point where he was lost early here in the career in the batter's box, where he's just finding his way and then continuing to experiment with different adjustments with his leg kick, with his stance, with the helmet, and different things that he wears. And all of a sudden now he seems to have found himself and found what he wants to work on a daily basis, and he looks very comfortable to me in the batter's box. It looks like all the movements are starting to have a reason, and they're the same movements all the time.
And lifts his fly ball to right, sending Caesar back at the edge of the track to make the play and finish the inning. 6 up and 6 down for Eddie Butler, and after 2 here in Arizona, the Cubs in front of the Dodgers 1-0.
Telecast is presented by authority of the Los Angeles Dodgers and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Dodgers.
2017 Dodgers season tickets are available now for a limited time only. You can enjoy exclusive benefits and great savings starting as low as $13 a game, where you can have greater flexibility. You can enjoy exciting matchups and promotional nights by purchasing a mini plan. Go to Dodgers.com/season tickets. Hyun-Jin Ryu back to work. Second trip to the Cubs order begins with strike 1 on Tommy La Stella. Cubs got 1 in the first inning on a base hit from Matt Caesar, but Ryu has struck out 4 through 2. 1-1. La Stella grounded out his first time. 2 of 11 now this spring. We started to talk last inning about where were you ranked in certain categories during his 2 healthy seasons in the majors, 13 and 14, and mentioned that he was in the top 5 in the NL in what is known as FIP, fielding independent pitching. And just to put a bow on that without diving into the equation, basically what it tries to do is isolate what a pitcher does from the fielding around him. So it takes into account strikeouts, walks, hit batsmen, and home runs. All the plays where there is no fielder that comes into the equation. It's a base hit to right for La Stella to begin this 3rd inning.
So really trying to eliminate things that you would consider sometimes just baseball probabilities, the luck factor of making a good pitch but having the guy hit it weakly. If you dominate him with a strikeout, or you don't dominate him with a walk. So 3 main categories?
Walks, strikeouts, home runs would be the main contributors to it, but also hit batsmen.
Okay.
All the ways to finish an at-bat that don't involve a fielder. Another than 2 on Almora Jr. Only 22. This Cubs team is once again going to be really young as they try to repeat as world champions. Almora is set to be the youngest of the bunch at 22, but you've got Kyle Schwarber and Addison Russell, who are going to be 23 to begin the season. Javier Baez, Wilson Contreras, 24, and Chris Bryant, the reigning MVP, still only 25.
Most of the baseball preview magazines predicting the Cubs will repeat also, and it is very hard to do. I'm sure Joe Madden the whole offseason was grinding on how to motivate these guys coming back from the championship that was so euphoric for the whole city of Chicago and of course the Cubs, and accomplishing every goal that Theo Epstein had when he was signed in Chicago to come from Boston and bring a championship to Chicago. And the acquisition of Joe Madden was one of the key ingredients, he thought, to put it all together.
Can you name, here's a trivia question, I'll put you on the spot. Can you name the last repeat champion in Major League Baseball?
Wow. It wasn't the Giants. They did it kind of every other year for a while.
It'll make total sense when I tell you. It's just surprising that it's been this long. At least it was for me. Hot shot to short. Taylor's got it from his knees, and he starts a double play. Chris Taylor doing his best to earn a roster spot. Played center yesterday to show his versatility. This is the spot where he'll be needed most as a backup shortstop.
This ball is blistered in the hole, and Chris Taylor gets to his knees, takes a little bit of time to make that throw because he had time. It was hit so hard, got to both knees, made the quick throw to Logan Forsythe, and wow, what a feed it was. Chest high right there so Logan could turn it quickly without any awkwardness.
There's our Carl's Jr. replay. And wipes the bases clean. 2 gone here in the 3rd inning. We'll talk about Taylor here in a second, but just to answer the trivia question I threw out there. The Yankees, the 3 straight titles, 98 through 2000, and I'm sure you
right
thought
before
about
the ground
that.
ball, I'm not fibbing. I was actually going to go. It was not a fact in my head, but it was going to be the guess. I was thinking Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, they had to have done a few back-to-backs.
Well, you go back through time and you do the champions in your head, and you think, well, there's got to be somebody who's won back-to-back titles. And you keep going back and you keep going back, and then you hit it all the way back to the 90s into 2000 and figure out, wow, it has been that long. Tapper to second. Forsythe throws him out. And guess what? Chris Taylor's going to bat second next inning. So we'll talk more about his standing as he tries to make the Dodger opening day roster when he comes up. Heating up into the 90s today. It has been much of the week here in Arizona. Cubs and Dodgers facing off for the second time this spring. And Eddie Butler, who's retired the first 6 that he's faced, gets Franklin Gutierrez to begin the third. Misses with ball 1. Gutierrez, one of the offseason acquisitions for the Dodgers, a little bit more under the radar than a move like Forsythe or Romo, but acquired really with one primary purpose in mind, and that is to hit left-handed pitching. And over the last couple of years, he's reinvented himself from a slick fielding outfielder to a power-hitting right-handed bat who has hammered left-handed pitching. Now that, of course, was an issue for the Dodgers last season.
You have to handle the ball away from you as a right-handed hitter if you're good against lefties, especially that changeup, and then be able to stay on that pitch and also hit the down and in breaking ball.
On 3-1, he swings through it 3-2.
Not to evaluate bat speed, but a lot of times right-handed hitters that bat speed would be classified as slider speed bat, meaning you can beat him with a good fastball, can be guys that hit left-handers real well, because not all the lefties are really in the big leagues with blazing fastballs. They're there because of the deception they have with the different movements and speeds that they use. So it can play into the guy's hand that's the right-handed batter that doesn't really have that terrific bat speed.
Gutierrez starting this third inning and striking out. So Butler has retired the first 7 that he's faced. That's his second K. And up comes Chris Taylor, who started that double play with a diving stop in the hole at short last inning. Part of what is really a 3-man battle for the backup shortstop role and a utility role across the board. That's with Kike Hernandez and Charlie Culberson to back up Corey Seager at short. And the fact that Chris Taylor has now shown an ability to play center field gives him a chance in that competition. And Dave Roberts even said today in his media session that Taylor will need to play center field to have a spot on the roster.
The role that they're competing for is really jack of all trade and master of some. And so the center field position would be the jack of all trade part for him, showing that he can handle it. And it will only be, I would think, in emergencies during a game, not really necessarily a start. But the key with the bat in their hand for all of those guys is to be somebody that Dave Roberts can count on, and especially in the fundamental aspects of the game, getting the guy over from second with less than 2 outs and getting the third so they can drive in that guy from third.
You know, the other thing he's done this spring is hit. Another base hit here, and he tries to turn it into 2, and plays like that will certainly help Chris Taylor's case as well. Read it perfectly. Hesitated after rounding and then accelerated into second.
They don't miss a beat on anything that happens in these games. Everything is evaluated so that guys can improve, so they can prove that they already can do things. And right here, that glance, little hesitation, understanding what's going on in the outfield, keeping his head up and continuing to read the play, not just giving in to the fact that I've got a base hit and it feels good, I'll just stand here at first. Nice job by Chris Taylor,
who is now hitting above 500 this spring. And by spring standards, it is not a small sample size. Had as many ABs as anyone. And they will give Taylor a double as Ryu bats for himself here in the third. Swings and misses. Strike 1.
Don't hurt yourself right there with that swing.
Eddie Butler, who's on the mound right now, made his big league debut against the Dodgers and against Hyun-Jin Ryu a few years back. And Ryu doubled against Butler. It's one of the 6 extra base hits in Ryu's career. He's at Coors Field, June 6, 2014. It was a highly anticipated debut for Butler.
You know what's very interesting about Ryu hitting and watching that third strike? If the Dodgers weren't serious about him breaking camp in the rotation, I don't think they would have had him hit today. I think they would have had him have a DH But to have him up there in the plate, it makes me think that there is a chance that he will continue to build himself up and have a chance to make the rotation. Also a chance that he doesn't build up enough endurance and he starts the year on the DL, continuing to rehab.
Strike one on Logan Forsythe. And is proven year in and year out, not just the Dodgers, but with any team in the last 2 years, especially the Dodgers, you know you're going to need more than 5 starting pitchers. The Braves used more starters than the Dodgers last year. Nobody used more 2 seasons ago. So even if Ryu doesn't begin the season as one of the 5, just the way the game goes, you figure he'll get his shot if he continues on the path that he's on right now.
That would be quite a trivia question without using the internet to do the research. Name all the Dodger starters from last year, starting pitchers.
There were 15. Atlanta had 16. Nobody else had more than 12.
I know the guys in the truck right now are trying to name them all.
Yeah.
If they listen to us.
There's a ball upstairs.
Mike Levy, our producer, just said, sorry, what, in our ears?
Just to remind us that he's listening really closely. 12 innings into our spring together, and Mike's already tuned us out.
He's locked and loaded today. He's got the whole family, mom and dad, the 2 kids, his wife here, touring around like a celebrity today.
Yeah, it's his 2nd year in camp, and he acts like he owns the place.
No.
2-2 on Forsythe. His first year in Dodger camp. And like Chris Taylor, has had a monster spring at the plate, hitting around 500 himself. Fouls this one back. We'll do the 2-2 again.
So much was talked about Logan as he became a Dodger and how much the Tampa Bay players were going to miss him and his professionalism. And really, in some ways, brings a lot to the table, like Chase Utley, a very detail-oriented professional baseball player that really locks in on the game and how to get better every day, how to help his teammates.
Flips this one to right. Yeah, and it's pulled in by Caesar to finish this inning. Dodgers strand one at second and trail 1-0 after 3. Cubs up 1-0. We go to the 4th. Hyun-Jin Ryu is out of the game and standing by with our Alana Rizzo.
Joe out of the game after 3 innings pitched, just giving up the 1 earned run and 3 hits. And first of all, in that first inning in particular, Brian, just Hyun-Jin throwing all of his pitches. Where is his confidence level with all of those?
오늘 던진 구종에서 이제 어떤 느낌인지 자신감이나 이런 전체적으로 종합했을 때.
일단은 뭐 던지는 느낌이라든지 뭐 몸 상태는 괜찮았었고 오늘 좀 투구 밸런스가 좀 안 맞았다 보니까 좀 볼도 좀 많았었던 것 같고 그 부분은 또 다음 경기 때 또 보완해야 될 것 같고.
I felt fine health-wise, but obviously there was some problem with my balance in today's outing. But those are things that I can improve on and make adjustments, so I feel fine overall.
Where do you feel your arm strength is, particularly with your off-speed stuff, your breaking ball?
형, 이제 팔 힘에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시는지, 특히 변화구 관련해서?
뭐 그런 팔 힘이라든지 이런 몸 상태는 너무 좋은 것 같고 오늘 또 무엇보다도 오늘 또 투구수 늘렸고 또 이닝수도 한 이닝 늘렸고 다음에 또 늘릴 수 있도록 또 준비해야 될 것 같습니다.
I feel fine with my arm strength and overall in general, but I'm just happy that I was able to get more inning out of it today, and my job is to build up on those innings, so I feel fine.
You mentioned building up on the innings. How many more innings would you like to throw to feel equally stretched out enough to be able to be on that opening day roster?
형, 이제 개막전에 합류하기 위해서는 몇 이닝 정도 더 던지시면 준비될 것 같은지.
일단은 뭐 시범 경기 해가지고 뭐 5이닝, 6이닝 정도면 충분하지 않을까 생각하고 뭐 내가 미국에서 던졌을 때도 그때 시즌 준비할 때는 뭐 스프링 캠프 기간 동안 그 정도에서 준비했었고 그렇게만 하면은 충분히 되지 않을까 생각하고 있습니다.
Like I feel like if I can get to 5 or 6 innings, I'll be ready. When I was actually playing well for the Dodgers in the first 2 years, those were the number of innings that I pitched during the spring training. So if I can get to those numbers, I'll be happy.
Do you legitimately think you will be in the starting rotation to start the season?
이번에 개막전에 그 이제 선발진에 합류할 수 있다고 진짜로 생각을 하시는지?
지금 상태로는 느낌 좋은 것 같고 충분히 해낼 수 있을 거라 생각하고 준비 잘해야 될 것 같아요.
I feel healthy and I'm pretty confident in my own abilities, and as long as I stay healthy and prepared the way that I'm doing right now, yeah, I think I'll be able to.
Did Brian help you fill out a March Madness bracket?
제가 혹시 형 3월에 광란이라고 이제 대학 농구 시즌이 있는데 그거 이제 하는데 제가 도와주냐고 물어보고 있어요.
아직 오늘 선수들이랑 같이 시작하려고 오늘 투입됐고 이제 배워야 될 것 같아요.
I don't really know much about March Madness, but I actually bought some squares, but not the brackets, so we'll see how that goes.
Squares in basketball. Okay, usually that's in football.
그게 보통 이제 그 미식축구 관련된 건데 농담하고 있는.
All right, guys, thanks so much.
Way to call him out, Alana.
Well, I mean, we have to teach him, right? It's our responsibility to help him out.
But the guys are ripping them off because those squares are all just for fun. That's just for points.
We appreciate Hyunjin Ryu and his interpreter, Brian, and Alana for the time there. And Brandon Morrow into the game now, replacing Ryu. Got Matt Caesar to ground out, then walked Ian Happ, and now John Andrioli. And he pops one in the air to the right side, and the bright sunshine. Adrian Gonzalez for out number 2. Now Morrow, a guy, Oral, who is a former 5th overall pick. He's been slowed by injuries the last several seasons, but entering what he hopes is his 11th season in the big leagues. It'll be with his 4th different team.
Sometimes you can buy low with these guys that have really big upside, as we watch where you walk on out, making sure he's not going to get hit by a ball there, continuing to really lengthen those strides that we've seen.
Victor Caratini taking ball 1. Grandal throws down to first, and it gets away from Gonzalez on what would have been a close play.
And remember, this is our first day seeing Adrian down there actually playing first base. He had to toss the Ryu on a first base cover, the pop-up right there, and right there coming, trying to use the gold glove to get the tag on him. Adrian, a 5-time All-Star. As late as 2015 when he was on that team.
So Morrow is 32. First 2.5 years of his career was mostly a relief pitcher, but then most of the next half decade or so was a starter. Full-time reliever again last year. Didn't make his season debut until August after what was a year-long rehab from shoulder surgery that he had in 2015. But once he came back, and this was with San Diego, he had a 169 earned run average in his 18 games. So again, opened some eyes about the raw ability that's in that right arm of Morrow, despite the injuries that he's gone through in his career. There's a reason This guy was taken 5th overall back in 2006. That's 2 spots, by the way, ahead of Clayton Kershaw.
Well, you think of the significant impact that Joe Blanton made for the Dodgers last year. A starter throughout his career, went to the bullpen and really was an upgrade there. Same kind of formula right here the Dodgers are looking for from Brandon Morrow. And you know, emotionally and mentally, he can deal with the pressure and in the moment. And that's definitely one of the tools you need to pitch out of this Dodger bullpen that wants to be a championship team.
It's 3-1. Is golf foul, and it's 3-2. That's a great comparison, a great thought on Joe Blanton. Really similar path, and that he's a guy who's shown that he can do it, shown he can succeed at the major league level, and then gone into the bullpen and had a short stint recently where he showed again that he could succeed there. Remember, Blanton hadn't done a ton of time in the bullpen when the Dodgers signed him. Runner takes off on strike 3. And Morrow, who's racked up a bunch of Ks this spring, gets one to finish off his scoreless 4th. We talked a little bit earlier about the WBC. The best part is that it's coming to Dodger Stadium for the championship series next week, the 20th through the 22nd. You can find information on how to get tickets at Dodgers.com/WBC. The U.S. still hopes that they'll be part of that. The Netherlands and Japan already punching their tickets. And then 2 of the 4 teams currently in San Diego will also advance. Justin Turner gets his hands in on one and yanks it foul. Dangerously over the camera well there. Opalana was ducked in there safely. Strike 1. And Alana reported back through our producer Mike Levy. She's just fine.
It went right over the top of her head, hit the facing of the Dodger dugout.
Ball and a strike on Turner, who flied to right his first time. Big contract for Justin Turner this offseason. Remarkably, 3 years after the Mets released him and the Dodgers signed him to a minor league deal. How different is his standing in that clubhouse than it was just 3 years ago when he showed up? Not just as a new guy, but as a guy in a minor league deal. And now he's the leader in the clubhouse on a 4-year, $64 million contract. He waits on a 2-1. And he checks his swing on ball 3.
And now newly engaged to his fiancee Courtney. Justin took her to the Grand Canyon, one of the places she said when they first met that she had never been, would love to see, and he saved it for getting on one knee and asking her to marry him.
And he corks a fly ball to center. Almora Jr. cruises under it. Had a good sound, but he just got under it. One away.
I think we're going to say just got under it a lot this year with his theory on hitting the ball in the air more that he used last year. He's going to continue to use after that 27 home run year. Even on balls below his knees, the one in his first at bat from Eddie Butler, he got underneath and hit a fly ball to right. It's the first at bat. Check the height of this pitch. Down below by his shin, still gets underneath and hitting the bottom of the ball, just a little bit out front. Last at bat, a little easier to hit the fly ball. The ball was elevated a little bit more in the strike zone.
It's ball one on Grandal. You know, last year, Turner got off to that really slow start. It was early June. He was hitting around 230. He only hit 3 home runs over the first 2 months of the season. And the big issue is that he was having a hard time elevating the ball to the pull field. And that's where most guys are going to get their power from, is to the pull field. So one of the things he did to try and fix it was switch to a lighter bat, one of Chase Utley's models. Grandal in the air to the left side, and that will reach the seats. And corresponding right around that same time with when Turner switched the bats, that's when he took off. So he went from hitting 230 with 3 home runs over the first 2 months to hitting above 300. 24 home runs from early June on. A 2-1, ball 3.
It bodes well for the numbers that could be produced this year with that theory working throughout the whole year.
Grandal sharply on the ground to Ian Happ, who can't grab it. The converted outfielder makes a 1-out error here in the 4th.
Happ kind of gave up on this ball right here. Yasmani Grandal just kind of jogging it down to first base. Puts on a little bit of the Jets, but if he stays with it, doesn't just kind of have a little sulk right there, still might have a chance at a catcher doing the running.
So man at first for Gonzalez with 1 gone here in the 4th. Grounded out to first his first time up. We mentioned Happ at second base, a converted outfielder. He was the 9th overall pick just 2 years ago, and understanding how important versatility is to the Cubs and to their manager Joe Maddon, understanding how loaded they are across the board as far as young prospects. It was his idea that he wanted to play as much second base as he could. They know that he can play outfield, but he's been almost exclusively second base for the last year to prove that Joe Maddon could use him at a number of different positions when the time comes. The issue is pick your poison as far as where you want to be blocked at with the way the Cubs have young position players. Javi Baez, the man at second right now. He's even forced Ben Zobrist into a more super utility role again. Albert Almora, the center fielder of the future. Jason Hayward, the long-term contract in right. And Kyle Schwarber right now, they don't necessarily consider a catcher, so his spot is left field. A 2-1. Hit hard to left. Andrioli goes back on it on the track for out number 2.
With more and more clubs not looking at their roster in a traditional way,
right,
that you have 7 starters and they all play one position, and that's what you do. And then on the bench you have guys that fill in the outfield and then others that fill in the infield. You know, the super utility guy that could play all over the field was really more of a rarity 20 years ago. But nowadays it's really being able to play multiple positions and all over the field is a key ingredient to almost 4 or 5 spots on a roster.
And Joe Maddon, one of the first guys to adopt that style of managing, while he was under current Dodgers president of baseball operations Andrew Friedman in Tampa Bay. Strike 1 on Puig.
In Tampa Bay, they did it out of necessity a lot of times, trying to find their best bats to put in the lineup to create some offense no matter where they had to play. But with the Cubs budget now and the Dodger budget, of course, that you're looking for that kind of roster even with high quality players.
Oh, 2 on Puig, who has 6 hits this spring. 3 of them homers, 2 of them doubles. Eddie Butler trying to finish off 4 scoreless innings against the Dodgers. Delivers an 0-2 and tails it over the outside corner for strike 3. 4 strikeouts over 4 scoreless innings for the former Colorado Rocky. The Cubs in front 1-0. Not a cloud in the sky here in Glendale, but the Cubs lead 1-0, and we go down to Alana Rizzo.
All right, guys, joined now by Turner Ward, the Dodgers hitting coach. And Turner, all spring long, your guys are putting together some really good at-bats. I talked to Justin Turner yesterday after his first spring long ball, and he's pleased with the quality of those ABs. What have you seen from your guys?
No, I mean, exactly what you just said, the quality of the ABs. I mean, we can't always get hits, but we can always kind of go up there and get a good pitch to hit. And that's kind of really been the focus of just trying to put together a quality AB and not be so result-oriented, but, you know, working on things this spring.
And Justin Turner is getting the results so far in spring, and a lot of guys I feel are trying to kind of emulate a bit of his stance, kind of that leg kick a bit, and cleaning up the bat path. A lot of guys, Jock Peterson, Rob Segedin, all kind of looking at Justin Turner for that. What are you trying to get those guys to be able to achieve at the plate?
Well, I think when you have the kind of experience that we have with the older players, I mean, they're here, been around for a while for a reason. They have cleaned up their bat path. They do have better direction to the ball. They are more selective at the plate, and I think that's kind of, you know, as a young player, those are the things that they're trying to work out. So the closer that we can kind of get those guys into putting their effort into those types of swings, then, you know what, that's going to help them get to the place they want to earlier.
And guys are always trying to tweak those swings. I know Justin Turner, Joe, and Oral were talking about it earlier, trying to hit a bit under the ball a little bit. What are you trying to do with him?
No, I mean, it's, you know, it's different guys like to think different things. One guy might want to think about staying on top of the ball. One guy might want to think about staying inside the ball. A JT is a guy who wants to kind of get under the ball. So, you know, it's all depends, too, who that pitcher is that day and how that best lines up with your swing type.
Trace Thompson trying to work his way back in as far as offensively is concerned, getting into the groove yesterday as well with the home run on his birthday, no less. Trace said that he was a bit jumpy at the plate. Are you seeing him calm down a bit?
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, he hasn't competed since July, and that's one thing I've been talking to him a lot about. Like, don't forget about just competing, because a lot of times you got to get in these games and you're thinking about your swing, you're thinking about a lot of things that's kind of been going wrong or not right, and don't forget about competing. And, you know, I think that he's really done a good job now of competing.
Andre Ethier, Corey Seager, guys both out right now, just a little bit banged up. Certainly will be ready for opening day. Two big pieces to this puzzle, but two guys are on very ends of the spectrum when their career is concerned. Are you comfortable that they'll get the ABs they need to be ready?
No doubt. I mean, Dre's pro. I mean, he's getting that work in every single day. You know, Corey's the one we're kind of anxious to get back on the field again because he really hasn't been able to do the swing, get the swings in that he's been used to having. So, you know, there's still time, but still, it's not something that you want to rush.
Corey was cleared to throw today from 60 to 90 feet, which is good news considering that's how he hurt that oblique issue. This is a team up and down the lineup, Turner, that can hit a little bit. It's a good problem to have.
Oh, man, that's a really good problem. Not only that, just the depth that we have all the way through the organization. You're seeing these young kids come up, putting together good ABs, and, you know, that's just showing that, hey, the line's always moving, always ready, and something happens, God forbid that we have guys that's willing and ready to kind of fill in the gaps.
You ready for this to be over with and for the game starting to count? Are you appreciative of the final 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, there's no doubt that this is the dog days of the spring, these past few days, because the excitement goes, and then you hit that little 10-day lull. Then you start getting excited those last 10 days of before the season starts. So, yeah, we're ready. I think the guys will say, hey, I'm ready to start going now, but you know what? We got more games to play.
And it is 245 degrees down here on the surface of the sun, so I will let you get back in the shade. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks, Alana. Thanks to Turner, the Dodger hitting coach in his second season. And I think Alana hit the nail on the head. It's got to be fun to be a hitting coach for this group of guys, this collection of hitters. Strike one on Tommy La Stella as Grant Dayton has looked good so far.
Grant Dayton, who really filled in admirably and was an outstanding piece to this Dodger bullpen when he was forced into action. Really not somebody they were going to count on, but once he got to the big leagues, that little bender, most of his success last year was with the high fastball and being able to make pitches in key situations, not melting down as a youngster, but that little steal a strike breaking ball could really serve him well. Especially when people are expecting the high fastball, which his is kind of an optical illusion the way he can get it by hitters. It's not above 95, but it's definitely above the waist and hard to catch up to. So with that eye line of that high fastball, he can start throwing the breaking ball for a strike. A lot of hitters are going to be taking that, because the hitter is saying, Joe, make him get the ball down, make him get the ball down. And all of a sudden, the ball that starts up, the curveball, then drops in the strike zone. That'll help his high fastball tremendously.
Taking a page out of Rich Hill's book, who has kind of worked opposite of that, though. And with the curveball, the plane that it's on, he's worked his fastball up as much as anybody to better success than anybody.
Rich pitches with the curveball and surprises guys with the fastball. Grant pitches with the fastball and is trying to learn to surprise them with the curveball.
Estella goes the other way with a fly ball that carries well, and at the wall, it's pulled in by Gutierrez to finish the inning. A 1-2-3 frame for Grant Dayton. And we are halfway home in Arizona with the Cubs in front of the Dodgers, 1-0. Dodgers baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Carl's Jr. The breakfast burger served all day at Carl's Jr. Back in Arizona, a few more weeks here before the regular season gets underway. Justin Grimm continuing his tune-up. Cubs reliever that was a huge part of the bullpen in the 2015 postseason run, but took a back seat last year and struggled. 1 year after he had a sub-2 earned run average, the ERA was above 4. And he's on to face Peterson, Gutierrez, and Taylor in the Dodger fifth.
Still a guy who can strike out more than one an inning. Walks went up a little bit.
He's from Bristol, Tennessee originally. At his college ball at Georgia. Drafted out of there with the Texas Rangers a few years back. Jock Peterson climbs in and looks at a fastball, strike one. So a Georgia Bulldog against a guy that was going to be a USC Trojan had he decided to go the college baseball route. Peterson, of course, selecting to sign with the Dodgers after they drafted him. Breaking ball, drag foul, 0-2. 11th round pick out of Palo Alto High School. His dad, Stu, played at USC. So there's a natural connection, natural path for him there. He has a sister playing soccer at UCLA, so she went the other way. Chases a high fastball and down on 3 pitches against Grimm.
Right up the ladder, 0-2. Hits the ball, but it split the plate, so you have a tendency to offer that as a hitter.
So now Grimm and Gutierrez go at it. We talked about Franklin Gutierrez reinventing himself in recent years, going from a really speedy, light-hitting outfielder to a power hitter. He doesn't move particularly well, and it goes back to a serious health problem that was discovered a few years ago that nearly forced him to retire. It's a rare form of arthritis in his spine, and the shorthand for it, AS disease, but it leads to hampered flexibility and mobility and gastrointestinal issues as well. And it took a while before they could correctly diagnose it. He missed all of 2014 learning how to manage the disease. And there is no cure for the disease, so he's always going to have to deal with it, but he's learned how to. He's learned how to manage it with proper medication, extra stretching, extra therapy. Pokes one off the end of the bat to second. Happ struggles with this one as well and recovers in time to get Gutierrez. And again, reinvented how he is as a player because of what this disease has taken from him. It's taken his ability to be a speedster, to be in there every day, to have the flexibility and the durability to play center field, which is much more of a grind on his body than playing a corner outfield spot in a situation like he'll be now, where he'll be primarily against lefties. Chris Taylor, with the bases empty and 2 gone, takes the ball. One and one. You hear about guys reinventing themselves as their careers go on, but rarely is that reinvention forced by such a significant health problem. And remarkable what Franklin Gutierrez has done to not just remain a professional baseball player, but to continue to thrive in an entirely different role. Move positions, move styles as far as what he is at the plate, put on weight to be able to do that. 29 home runs and part-time duty the last 2 years combined. 2-1, ball 3.
Well, those difficulties can reveal character in an individual. The discipline for him to not give up and the passion to do it on a daily basis and to find his way back to the big leagues and be successful. Admire people like that.
Taylor, like Gutierrez, spent last year with the Mariners, or at least began last year with the Mariners before he came over to the Dodgers mid-season. Had that memorable day in Arizona where he nearly hit for the cycle and included a grand slam. And earns the walk. That home base percentage is nearing 700 this spring for Chris Taylor.
Impressive in his last at bat when he hit the double that really was scored a double, but he forced it into a double with a little bit of lazy play in the outfield. And now to work that walk right there, another thing that the coaches and staff will pick up on. Quality at bat.
2 gone for Austin Barnes, batting for the first time today, and Ryu's spot in the order, or at least in the pitcher's spot in the order, which is now Grant Dayton. And is now Austin Barnes. Well, Barnes this winter, I think when Carlos Ruiz was sent off to Seattle, you figured that no question Barnes would be the backup catcher. Getting pushed though this spring by Bobby Wilson, who's an on-roster invitee to camp, major league veteran. I think it's the kind of competition you like to see when you're in spring training.
Nothing comes easy. You have to earn it. You've got to, in a lot of ways, knock out the champion. And so Bobby Wilson, being the veteran, has proved he can play at the big league level, and Austin Barnes has kind of proved that, but has less of a track record. But Austin doesn't have to just catch. One of the advantage where he can play other positions. He can play the outfield. He can play the infield also. Showing he's pretty adept with the bat also.
Two balls, no strikes on a local product in the Phoenix area. Played at Arizona State. Was an infielder there. Moved to catcher partway through his career.
Very athletic catcher behind the plate. Very quick to break ball, block balls. Very good at framing. Yasmani Grandal gets high grades in that area also, but Austin Barnes comes from a reputation from AA and AAA from the managers and coaches there of being a magician with the glove, of being able to present the ball that is close and present it as a strike.
We had the opening day roster last year, his first one, but spent most of the year in AAA, where he was really good at .295 for Oklahoma City. Taylor a good lead. Bluffs a move towards second. Holds on. 3-1. Now Barnes, he had moved to catcher while he was at Arizona State, and the coach pulled him into the office and said, look, we appreciate you being selfless and trying this out, but you're welcome to move back to infield full time if that's what you want. And he said, no way. I'm enjoying this catching thing. 3-2. So coming up through the minors, he's split time between catcher and second. And that's what he did in his limited time in the majors last year. 9 starts at catcher, 7 starts at second.
Most scouts, most minor league development people will tell you the fastest way to the big leagues is to be a catcher. First and foremost, not many people want to do it. So the population is less, and then if you have some ability, especially you can hit and throw really well, to learn the other parts of catching. And not that it's not hard, it is very hard, but you can catch up with less skills, and if you are skillful to go back there, you can really shine.
Yasmani Grandal wasn't a catcher until he was in high school. He was an infielder.
You can always convert also then to pitching after the catching part, like Kenley Jansen.
Right, and go backwards. A payoff. Barnes sends it foul. The Cubs starting catcher for this coming season, Wilson Contreras, is a converted third baseman. And still, by all accounts, very raw defensively. I think that's part of what makes Barnes unique, is that, like you mentioned, he's lauded for his framing, and a lot of times a guy that transitions to the position hasn't been playing it his entire life. It's something that takes a while. And he's been playing catcher for plenty of years now, but rarely do you see a converted guy up near the top. Fly ball, short right field. Happ goes out. Caesar comes out and makes the play. And I guess the #1 guy in the majors is going to go. Buster Posey is a converted shortstop as well. So what do I know? So they tell me my partner's a pretty big deal, and I guess I have to believe him now because he got his face on the video board. They paid tribute to Oral Hershiser between innings, and they even gave a live shot of the big man. Wave to the crowd at the Vanna White wave going on.
Rose Queen wave.
And I get to sit by it. Pretty cool.
Well, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel now to get to so-called Dodger legends.
It's been a good spring for you, though. I mean, genuinely, in that you've been able to do both sides of it. You still get to hang out up here with me, but you also get to give back, which I know you've enjoyed so much, coming back and coaching this spring.
Yeah, it's been fantastic for the organization to trust me enough to put me back in uniform. Rick Honeycutt, Andrew Friedman, Dave Roberts, and it really has awakened the passion again for the game to be able to talk it on a daily basis with the guys and to be in the locker room and to help out.
It's a bouncing ball to short.
Fantastic.
Chris Taylor throws out Elmora Jr. Or make that Charlie Culberson, who's just checked into the game at short. Marcel Sierra, who is a guy that you have worked with some this spring.
Yeah, Mr. Sierra has really dedicated himself to really making his mechanics better and getting more consistent, and really has grasped the idea that if I can repeat my delivery, I will throw the ball more accurately. There is no question that this is a big league arm, a big league body, and a big league mind. It's just grasping some concepts to be a little bit better.
Here's a pop-up and a short left. Culberson getting to quick work. 2 quick outs for Sierra.
Big time sign from the Dodgers out of Cuba. He has really made some great strides as a person this spring. Every morning getting up, he and Fabio Castillo really the 2 most dedicated to coming out and talking about pitching and doing a lot of shadow work, watching the example of somebody like Clayton Kershaw who does it a lot, and then a lot of the other young guys come out and really work hard on the reps, because you can only throw a baseball so often and your arm's going to get sore. But you can practice your delivery without throwing a ball, and putting those reps in a lot of times makes that learning curve a lot quicker.
Off the end of the bat, foul, and Sierra's a pitch away from having a lightning quick inning. Only 5 pitches, and he's ahead of Matt Caesar 0-2.
The fastball has great movement. He can get in the mid-90s. He's got an outstanding feel for a changeup, and the slider, which was his predominant pitch when he was first signed, has really now started to take a back seat to the fastball and the changeup, where it's a third weapon, but it's not something that he has to rely on.
One-two, and he gets Caesar swinging.
And that's the slider that could now be a surprise instead of the basis of his repertoire.
Good inning for Yasel Sierra on a 1-0 game. Celebrate the greatness of Fernando Mania at the Dodgers game Wednesday, April 5th against the Padres, with the first 40,000 fans in attendance. Get a replica Fernando jersey presented by Bank of America. Dodgers.com/promotions. And I know that we're getting close to the season. If we're talking about specific days of the season on the promo calendar, that is not too far off. David Rollins, the last year mostly at AAA, is in the game for the Cubs as we go to the bottom of the 6th.
One of my more cherished possessions is a Fernando Valenzuela jersey.
Is it?
For sure. Just to have known him in the minor leagues and to help him out there, then watch him come to the big leagues, and Fernando Mania and everything that he did, and the outstanding teammate that he is, and now the great announcer with the Dodgers. He's quite a guy.
Only pitcher, of course, ever to win Cy Young and Rookie of the Year in the same season. Magnificent career that he had in the Dodger uniform. First 11 years of his 17-year career was spent in LA. Jose Miguel Fernandez. We talked about Sierra out of Cuba. Fernandez is as well. And here is a guy who is savoring every second of this opportunity to wear a big league uniform. Signed out of Cuba. And an infielder. Numbers not great so far. But don't tell him this has not been a great experience over this last month.
1-2.
Scouts would say he has a live body. There's a lot of fast twitch fiber there. That he really looks like he can swing a bat. He's very active and athletic.
Signed this offseason. And he's down swinging. Rollins gets a K to begin the 6th. And now faces one of the top young prospects in the Dodgers system, and the second baseman Willie Calhoun. He's just getting ramped up into action. Dodgers had him focus on his fielding at second base early on this spring, reshaping his diet, and he's done that. He's already cut a bunch of weight in the month that he's been here. And now beginning those baseball activities. On the ground is second, Ian Happ, 2 out.
Ian Happ had an active there at second base. A couple of bobbles, 1 error. Willie Calhoun having a little bit of fun, finally getting back on the field.
Charlie Culberson up there for the first time today. Part of that 3-man battle for one of the roster spots that will include backing up short. And Culberson looks at strike 1. Now the edge, the obvious edge that Kike Hernandez has, and that Chris Taylor's trying to prove that he has, is the ability to play outfield. Culberson lifts a fly ball to left center. Andrioli back on it with room to complete a 1-2-3 inning. It's a 1-0 game as we go to the late third of this game in Glendale. One 1-0 game, top of the 7th. Joe, Oral, and Alana here in Glendale. Dodgers have won 6 of 7 over the last week here in Cactus League action. They're 12-8 overall. The Cubs are 6-9. I asked you earlier the trivia question of the last team to repeat as world champion. We decided that it was the Yankees, 98 through 2000. How about the last team to repeat as National League champion? I think this one's maybe even more difficult, even though it's more recent. As far as like to come right to mind, Ian Happ takes ball 1 from Yasel Sierra.
Not the Giants.
No.
Phillies?
Yes. The Phillies in 08 and 09.
I don't know why they popped in other than the fact that they were beating the Dodgers and we didn't like them.
Happ slices one to left center that'll bounce its way all the way to the base of the wall. And into second goes Happ. So a leadoff double for one of the top prospects in the Cubs system.
A lot of times when the catcher's glove moves up from where the target was, which was below the knee, and then the glove had to go up to catch that ball, the catcher ends up not getting a chance to catch it. That's what happened on that pitch.
John Andreoli, whose name, if you're following the WBC, you may be familiar with from these last couple of weeks. He had a monster tournament for Team Italy. He and Rob Sagadin both did big things for the Italians, but Andreoli had 3 home runs, had the walk-off hit against Mexico in that epic game in pool play. One and one. Take a close look here. That is not a Cubs shirt he has on under his uniform. Still got his WBC shirt.
You're going to have really good offensive production. You might wear the same clothes under a different uniform. That shirt's hot.
So there's a direct correlation between how good you are and how bad you smell.
Well, superstition. They do the laundry. It's the same shirt.
Yeah, 1 and 2.
You know, we've heard of people burning certain parts of their clothing if they're in a slump and getting the new stuff. Well, the opposite definitely is true.
The big number 55 have any odd clothing superstitions?
I did not, but if I did lose 3 or 4 starts in a row or didn't pitch well, there was a cleaning out of the locker.
In the air to center. Brett Eibner's in the game now, and he runs under it. Tagging at second is Happ, and he'll take his way into third.
Routine base running from Happ, but a nice job recognizing the deep fly ball, even though it's in front of him in left center, and scooting over there to third.
Low in the zone. High Sox is the hit now.
We were talking earlier about the number of starting pitchers that the Dodgers used last season, 15. You want to try and name the 15?
Wow.
Let's get the easy ones out of the way. Kershaw, Maeda, Kazmir, Hill. Hill's 4.
Brett Anderson, 5. No longer here.
It's bounced to first. Gonzalez looks the runner back. A race to the bag, and he makes the tag on Caratini for out number 2. And Happ holding on at third.
Adrian really picking up for Sierra on the mound. He didn't break over there infield in. Can't assume the ball's going to go home. The runner freezes. You've got to cover first base. Adrian's first day in a Dodger uniform over there playing defense, not DHing today. Does a nice job getting the tag on and then keeping his head about him, which when a pitcher covers first with a man on third like that, you immediately have to look home to check the runner, and that's what Adrian did.
Okay, so we've got 4. Ross Stripling was in the season opening rotation. That's 5. Mike Bolsinger, 6.
Brock Stewart,
7. Julio Urias, 8.
Alex Wood,
9.
They're slowing down.
Alana, who are we missing? We've got 6 more.
What about Bud Norris?
Bud Norris.
I would not have gotten Bud.
Hyun-Jin Ryu, 1 start would be 11.
Right.
Did we say McCarthy?
Yeah.
Okay. Brock Stewart.
Yeah. Did we say McCarthy? Did we count him?
I don't think we did McCarthy yet.
Okay, let's add him on there. 12.
Okay.
Let's see. Jose De Leon, for sure. Our director, Dustin Dente, gets credit for that one.
Julio, did we do Julio yet?
We did. There was the guy that made 1 start for the Dodgers, Nick Tepish, who signed, made 1 start, and that was it. So I believe that's 13. I'm sure there are people at home yelling at their TVs. These idiots don't even know 14 and 15 who
They're probably going to be obvious names, and we're going to say duh.
Ian Thomas just came out of the pen, right?
Yeah, I don't think Ian made a start last year.
Did we do Maeda?
Yeah. Yep.
A youngster, I would think.
I actually was more confident in my ability to get to 15.
Then it's
Running
happening.
out of gas here at 13 with help from Alana and the truck.
No, it's definitely 15.
We need to start over.
Kawasaki hits one foul, 3-2. I know we've got the list of names. Let's see who we're missing. Here it comes. Who are we missing?
I
think we said all these guys, you guys.
We did. We said them all.
I guess I just
2,
counted
4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15.
So
yeah,
there
we
are
said 'em all.
15 on there. It's just I counted very poorly. I blame it on the ground out from Victor Caratini right when we started counting. That one just misses, and Sierra walks Kawasaki to keep this 7th inning going. I feel better now to know that we weren't missing somebody obvious.
Can we put that graphic up again?
I bet we can.
I think I would have missed Bud Norris.
And
I think I would have missed
Nick Tepesh.
Nick Tepesh for sure. I think everybody else I would have got. And Bud was a big trade. He was throwing the ball some of the best in the big leagues when we acquired him.
Had that cutter that he added. Completely changed him.
Yeah, batting average against lefties went way down with the cutter.
Chris Dominguez takes a strike. One day there'll be trivia games about this Cubs lineup today.
I don't think they'll get it right.
No. Munenori Kawasaki, who just walked 276 career major league games, and that's the most out of the starting 9 for the Cubs today. And it's been split with Seattle, Toronto, and Kawasaki came to the Cubs last year. In the case of Dominguez, handful of games with the Giants, with the Reds, and then a Boston minor leaguer last year. Yasel Sierra pitching his 2nd inning of work and trying to keep this a 1-0 game in the 7th. Softly hit in front of the plate. This is Murphy who will field it and finish it. We stretch here in Glendale in the heat in a 1-0 game.
MLB.TV Premium, back and better than ever. And you can watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices and enjoy almost 300 spring training games in the WBC. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Go to MLB.TV for details. Keep drinking that water on this hot day in Glendale, Arizona. Len Casper, the Cubs TV guy, just shot me a text a minute ago and said, I think 4 people have burst into flames sitting in the stands today. Jim Henderson comes in a 1-0 game in the bottom of the 7th. In his first year in the Cubs organization. Right around the same time Hyun-Jin Ryu is going down with a shoulder surgery. Jim Henderson was as well. He's a former closer with the Brewers. But during spring training had a huge drop in his velocity. Ball on Adrian Gonzalez. They went in, took a look at the shoulder inflammation, and revealed that he needed surgery. Missed all of 2015. And spent last year at the Mets. Misses badly with the first 2-0.
It's just as much a physical battle as it is a mental battle, rehab. Your last memory of throwing a ball was in pain. You've got to erase that from your subconscious and really push through mentally.
Speaking of, did you do your homework assignment for the offseason and read the arm? We still got to do that.
I started it.
Did you?
I did not finish it.
Okay. We got some plane rides ahead of us.
I found that it's not real good to have an adult beverage when starting a book.
Rolled his second, and Ian Happ throws Gonzalez out. You lose your focus?
No, while on vacation, it leads to a nap.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to have the right atmosphere.
Up and ready and go. We were able to take a few vacations in the off season, and it was the book that was always packed.
Okay. Puig, who's 0 for 2 today.
Do they have crib notes on that?
Cliff notes.
That's it too.
Cliff notes. Yeah, they may have those.
Cliff. I'll be in a crib.
So,
ball right there.
Vegas in the offseason for you. Headed back to LA before too long, right?
Right. We're going to do these 3 games today, tomorrow, and the next day. The night game tomorrow will be great with Clayton Kershaw on the mound starting at 7:05, and then probably go home for a little bit and get ready for the move. It's going to be fun to join you in the Pasadena area. I'll be closer to the ballpark than our commute from down in the beaches before.
Carpool.
We could do that.
I think we're going to get enough of each other.
No, I would carpool with you. I just make sure that the baby seat is out of the way.
I was in the way this morning trying to fit your briefcase. And
how about our hatch drive?
About that. Yeah. We get to
well, we're at separate hotels.
Yeah. So I pick him up this morning and he opens up the passenger side rear door, and
there's Charlotte's baby seat in the way of me putting in my large bag that carries all the information that is sometimes in my head.
So I hit the button and I said, hey, trunk's opening. Go ahead and do that if you want. Continues to jam away at my daughter's car seat. She's not in it. But he gets his bag in, gets it hung up. He doesn't think anything of the fact that I've opened the trunk.
I didn't know.
I didn't think anything of the fact that he didn't use the trunk to put his bag in. We drive about a 10-minute trip here to the stadium. People are kind of looking at us funny now that I think back on it.
Let us in the parking lot.
Yeah,
but they're still kind of staring at us kind of funny, like we're allowed in.
We get in, we pull into the parking spot, and the security guard goes, you know that your hatch is up. The rear end is completely up, and this is a big SUV we're talking about. It's not like a little trunk was popped.
No. And you had some baby blankets in the back there.
They stayed in there. We must be living right.
Down the freeway, about 3 exits. Down the boulevard with all the traffic.
Still spring training.
I thought it was a little windy in the car. I couldn't figure out why.
Full count on Yasiel Puig with the bases empty. Dodgers only 1 hit today. Puig looks at strike 3. Slams the bat down, and he'll get thrown out of the game by Tom Woodring.
I think we need to take another look at this
pitch on the outside corner. Tom Woodring thinks it was there. Yasiel Puig does not. And Mr. Woodring is watching Yasiel leave the bench area, making sure. But here the glove is on the plate. Let's see.
Pretty good pitch.
Pretty doggone good pitch.
But as usual, it's reactions like that are usually an accumulation of an AB. Rarely does that come from one individual pitch, and I think Puig was upset with a call earlier in the AB.
And now we have the delay waiting for Yasiel to gather his stuff and head towards the locker room.
Which is a bit complicated here if you're unfamiliar with the Camelback Ranch facility. In many spring facilities, you have to go through the playing field to get there, out of the bullpen and left.
He's making his way. Let's take a look at a Carl's Cam replay of the previous at bat when Yasiel was rung up on a fastball away. Previous pitch, same at bat, and Yasiel was a little upset right there. So we have a little build up before this last pitch, and then the explosion.
And Adrian Gonzalez,
the wingman, is smiling.
Yeah, helps escort him out of there.
There'll be 2 chairs in the television room where Yasiel will be there with Adrian, probably looking at the pitch. See if they agree or disagree.
But Eibner swings and misses at a breaking ball from Henderson. Strike one.
Alana down there working hard to probably get that interview with Yasiel right now.
He turned that one down. Back-to-back breakers, 0-2. And actually, Mike Levy, a producer, tells us that she was in the middle of interviewing Adrian Gonzalez to be played back next inning, so you can look forward to that. Eibner drills one down the left field line, but it hooks its way foul. One hit was Chris Taylor's double, really a single that he stretched into a double back in the third. Dodgers have had 2 other base runners, 1 on an error, 1 on a walk. The only threat came on that double in the third. The lone run of the game in the first inning, and a Matt Caesar single to score Albert Almora, who had doubled. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Brett Eibner. Off the end of the bat and hooks it in the air to left. Andrioli to cap off a 1-2-3 inning. On to the 8th, comes up 1-0.
Here's a little insider secret for you. A lot of times in TV, we try to fake it like these are actually live. We can't do it this time because we already showed Gonzalez go to the locker room. So moments ago, Adrian and Alana.
All right, guys, thanks very much. Adrian, welcome back, first of all, from the World Baseball Classic. I had heard that you said as the at-bats in that Classic progressed, you felt a bit better about your swing. Where are you at with it now?
Yeah, no, it feels good. I'm seeing the ball good. Timing feels good. So, just trying to get my at-bats and be ready for opening day in a few weeks.
How many more do you feel you need to be ready to go?
No, I mean, after the Classic, it's I got myself mentally right and physically right, so I could start tomorrow and I'm ready to just got to make it through this 2 weeks.
I know you were dealing with the elbow tendonitis there a little bit. Obviously that's in the past. Your thoughts about a couple of more weeks here for spring training and get ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, just be careful, be good about it, and if I need rest, I need rest, but it feels pretty good right now, so just continue to try, and as long as it feels good, keep going.
How, if at all, did you have to prepare differently because of the elbow and also because of the length of spring training with the World Baseball Classic mixed in?
Well, I mean, it was all the focus on the elbow, so, just it was a rehab mentality, so there was no preparation. Once they shut me down, there's nothing else I can do other than leg workouts and rehab. So, as far as preparation, there was none.
I had the opportunity to talk to Turner Ward earlier, just talking about the collective at-bats and quality at-bats for you guys. This is a team that can hit a little bit. What do you like about what you see from your teammates?
I mean, everybody, guys are swinging the bat good. Pitchers are doing well. So, the team's full. It's complete. And, there's talent all around, which makes it a lot of fun to be around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
All right, Alana and Adrian, thank you. Leadoff single for Taylor Davis in this inning. And Jacob Hanneman, the batter now in a 1-0 game. In the 8th, Hanneman strikes it foul. 2-1. How's your bracket looking?
Have there been any upsets yet?
No, a couple close ones.
So we've got 5s against 12s most of the games.
Virginia beat UNC Wilmington in a 5-12. Upset on the verge right now. Middle Tennessee is a 12, leads 5-seed Minnesota by 10. I may or may not have that one.
Oh, so you brought this subject up because your bracket is doing well.
Oh, thanks for asking. I think it's perfect actually so far.
Okay.
Probably famous last words though. You know how that goes.
Well, these are only worth 1 point in the first round.
Well, it depends on your scoring system.
The farther you go.
This depends on the system used. I think the pool that I'm in, you get the number you get. So if you pick a 12 seed to win, and they do, you get 12 points.
Oh.
And then that's multiplied by the round that they win in. So next round, I think I have Middle Tennessee actually winning 2 games. If they win in the second round, I get 24.
So you could actually win, and if you picked a number 1 seed to win it all, you could lose to somebody that picked earlier team upsets that didn't go all the way. That doesn't seem fair.
Well, I'm winning, so it does for right now.
Sounds like WBC scoring.
Here's Candelario.
I'm winning now, so that's the way it is.
2 on and nobody out in the 8th. Sierra's 3rd inning of work.
Stretching him out. This is the kind of outing that tells you that if he's going to make the club or contribute to the club this year, might start out as a long man, not as a starter and not as somebody who would just be a setup guy, but somebody they would want to make sure is stretched out. You see a little bit of fatigue coming in. He's been throwing a lot of strikes in the first 2 innings, and now his arm's dropping a little bit, and he's elevating and losing the ball to the arm side to these left-handed hitters. Can happen in the regular season. Sometimes it happens often, but in spring training it happens an awful lot as guys go through the different levels of getting in shape.
There's a strike, 1-1.
If you're someone that works out and lifts weights, and you think about when you get to your 3rd set, maybe, and you normally do up to 15 reps, but on those last 4 or 5 reps, you can feel your form start to go away. You can feel your muscles start to shake. It's a little bit like when a pitcher fatigues out there.
You start to feel that fatigue and the mechanics break down.
On the ground to first, Cody Bellinger's in there to get one at second, and they turn it back, a double play. You hear all about him being the top power hitting prospect in the minors. What you don't hear as much about is how smooth he is defensively.
Yeah, we are so used to seeing Adrian Gonzalez down there at first and how good he is at throwing the baseball, fielding the baseball, picking it. And Corey Bellinger is right in that class, just has not done it at the big league level yet, but showing it off right there. Soft hands.
Said the other day that the offensive numbers have not been great for him this spring. And he said he, throughout his career, has realized that those numbers are going to come and go. It's the nature of baseball, the nature of a long season. But the thing that he can control, and he's known always that this is the case, is his glove. And that the glove doesn't slump, and he's taken pride in that. Rademacher down the right field line, and that's a fair ball that bounces its way to the corner. Taylor Davis in to score out of a John Rademacher double, and the Cubs lead 2-0.
Fall behind the count, and the hitters start to feast on that. Watching it from the on-deck circle, or even in the hole in the lineup, watching Sierra struggle with his command, falls behind 1-0, and tries to get over breaking ball in there to get back in the count. Left it up a little bit. Good piece of hitting.
And that's going to do it for Sierra. He goes 2 2/3. Book's still open with that man at second. That does allow at least one run. Back into the bullpen. We'll tell you who the move is for when we come back. Patrick Schuster is the new Dodger pitcher. First year in the organization. Those numbers last year at Double-A. Made his big league debut last year as well with the A's and with the Phillies. And the numbers weren't good, but throughout his minor league career has shown flashes like he did in Double-A and like he has in spring training so far this year with the Dodgers.
Can really spin a baseball, and that's really important with his arm angle and what his job would be, mostly left on left situation. So the command is an issue of all the different pitches, but if he can harness that, the stuff is there.
Former Diamondbacks farmhand, former Reds farmhand, then Oakland, then Philly, and now the Dodgers as he pours in strike one to Ian Happ. First chance we get to see Happ hit from the right side, switch hitter.
You hear a lot of pitchers say, I had really great stuff today, but I got hit around, or I walked too many guys. You rarely hear somebody say, I had great location today, but I got hit. Location is such a key. Being able to command the baseball. So we
There's a lot of guys that are the borderline big leaguers, or guys who haven't contributed in a big way yet, that need command. They have great stuff, great velocity, a lot of great change of speeds or break the ball. Commanding the baseball, huge.
One gets by Murphy. Actually kicked out in front of him, but was enough to allow the runner to advance to third.
A struggle right there in communication with what pitch he wants to throw. Murph and Schuster. Right there might have even been a cross-up the way Murph attacked that one with the glove really going the wrong way. Should have flipped it over and blocked it, but he probably thought that ball was going to stay where it was. That's why it looked so awkward in his attempt to catch the ball.
It's the first time we've seen Happ today right-handed. That's wrong. He was right-handed in his first AB against Ryu and struck out. He's since walked in double. Now waits on a 1-1 from Schuster. 2-1. Sellout today, more than 13,000 here at Camelback Ranch.
On a hot one.
Sure is. 9th year here in Glendale for the Dodgers. Came to Camelback in 09. Off the end of the bat foul. John Chapper, the Dodgers PR man and official score duties here in the spring training game, lets us know over the press box PA that it's the 3rd sellout for the Dodgers this spring. Came here in 09 after 61 years in Vero Beach. Share this facility with the White Sox. Ironically, Saturday we'll play the White Sox in this park. The Dodgers will be the road team. My wife checked the schedule and said, you know your game Saturday's on the road. And I was like, wait a minute. No, it's not.
They're not moving our equipment.
Oh.
Our television truck and all these cameras can stay right here for 3 days.
Schuster's payoff. Just low. And they're at the corners with 2 gone. As Happ earns his 2nd walk of the day and has reached in 3 consecutive trips up there after the first inning strikeout. John Andrioli sticking in there the whole day as well. He's 0 for 3. Strike 1. Kershaw for the Dodgers tomorrow. Maeda scheduled for the Dodgers on Saturday. Really good start for Kenta his last time out. 7 Ks over a few innings. 1-1.
We should have a really big audience on TV tomorrow night. A 7:05 start and Clayton Kershaw starting the game. Probably go 3 or 4 innings. Everybody who has missed seeing Clayton and missed Dodger baseball have an opportunity after coming home from work to catch the game.
Do you believe that Kershaw is entering his 10th major league season?
Hard to believe everything that he's accomplished.
He's about to celebrate a 29th birthday. Sunday is 29, March 19th. It's a pop-up into center. And Brett Eibner's there to retire the side, but the Cubs add 1, and we go to the bottom of the 8th inning with Chicago in front 2-0. An all-new Backstage Dodgers tonight. Go behind the scenes with some of the guys that played in the WBC. Rob Sagadin, Adrian Gonzalez, Kike Hernandez, and Eric Gagne through his preps for his comeback with Team Canada. Backstage Dodgers 7 tonight on Sportsnet LA. All new episode. Be sure to watch that. You were featured on a recent episode. Let's pull back the curtain on some of your coaching as Caleb Smith comes in.
It was an awful lot of fun to be in uniform. Less and less of that now. Now as the broadcast duties start. But the guys were very open and receptive to some of the ideas. And Rick Honeycutt does an absolutely amazing job as a pitching coach. Just getting to be around Rick again and hearing his instruction of other guys and being up close and personal. There's no surprise now for me to know why he is such an outstanding pitching coach. There's three kinds of coaches for me. The coach that can tell you what you're doing wrong, and that's a pretty negative coach. And then the coach that can tell you what to do right. And then the coach like Rick is a master coach, which is someone who can watch you, understand your movements and your mentality, and then find one thing that fixes like 4 or 5 things. And he really is a guy who coaches the core of the individual delivery or the individual makeup of the guy or the strategy compared to the symptoms. Coaching symptoms is it's not a really good way to coach.
Dixon lost the handle on the bat and the screen caught it.
So throwing the bat would be the symptom.
Okay.
Maybe getting a different pair of batting gloves or pine tar or building up the strength in his hands might be the core issue.
There you go. Koye Dixon, all name team for sure. And not just a name. The numbers have been there too. His climb to the minors. Last season, more than 100 games in AAA Oklahoma City. He hit .328. Homered 18 times in 100 games. And then absolutely raked in the Mexican Winter League. Fouls that one off to stay alive. Final 3 games of his season in Mexico this winter, he hit 4 home runs.
The other bat. I don't have a sticker on it though.
Well, it's a new bat.
That one felt like it was going to slip out of his hands too. And with this heat right here, a lot of times you have to change the stickum on your bat. And sometimes one thing, the pine tar might get a little too thick, and then it starts to melt on the bat. It goes from being sticky to actually slippery. That Manny Mota stick that they use also, and they also use the spray and the rosin. You've got to get the right mix for the right temperature. It can also change with the humidity. And then again, you're playing October baseball, you got to watch out for the cold.
They bit it off the end of the bat there and lofted it to right. Rademacher with a catch. So 1 gone in the 8th, and Jack Murphy to the plate in a 2-0 game, with the Cubs getting runs in the first and in the top of this inning. And the Dodgers managing only 1 hit so far today, courtesy of Chris Taylor back in the 3rd. And this is Taylor's spot in the order. Murphy takes ball 1. One and 1. Hope she's wearing plenty of sunscreen. Two and 2.
Murphy walking off a little frustration right there. Got a few fastballs in the last few pitches that he thought he could have squared up. Fouled him back.
And ultimately down on strikes, foul tipping that one into the mid of the catcher. 2 out. So Caleb Smith trying to work a 1-2-3 inning, and Austin Barnes trying to avoid that. Flied out his first time up. Started him with an off-speed, strike 1.
And Austin in that catching battle to be on the roster opening day with Bobby Wilson. This is not just some other at bat in spring training. He's looking to make a statement.
And rips one down into the left field corner. Turns for second, and he's got the second Dodger double of the day. Austin Barnes keeps his 8th inning going.
A lot of times this portion of the game in spring training is a lot of minor leaguers just getting some experience in the big league atmosphere. But Austin Barnes, a big leaguer that is looking to battle for that job on this opening day roster. So it's just not another at bat here in the bottom of the 8th, down 2-0 for him with 2 outs.
Now Jose Miguel Fernandez has a chance to tie this game with 1 swing or keep things moving for Willie Calhoun. Chops one to short. Easy play and a backhand for Chesney Young to finish off the 8th inning. Dodgers get their second hit of the day, but nothing to show for it. And it's 2-0 as we move to the 9th. Single runs in the 1st and in the 8th for the Cubs. As many runs as the Dodgers have hits this hot afternoon. Joe Davis, Or Hershiser, Alana Rizzo, Patrick Schuster back out there for his 2nd inning. Northwestern, by the way, who made the NCAA tournament for the first time ever, is now in a tight game down the stretch. Not that I have it on my computer here in the 9th inning, the spring training game, but tight game down the stretch with Vanderbilt. A couple good athletic or academic institutions facing off in an 8-9 game. Fun time of year, Oral.
It sure is.
Jason Vossler batting against Schuster to begin this 9th inning, taking ball 1.
Didn't the great baseball reporter Buster Only go to Vanderbilt?
Sounds right, yeah.
He did.
Really good baseball school. David Price, Sonny Gray. I'm sure I'm missing a couple others. Pedro Alvarez. Dansby Swanson, who was first overall pick of the Diamondbacks a couple of years back, now with the Braves. Ryan Flaherty, Hal, our stats man, tells us, came up with the Cubs. I believe he debuted with the Orioles.
At the end of Buster's blog the other day, he said Vanderbilt needs more threes in the tournament. He thinks they're a good three-point shooting club, and that's where their offense is.
Cued back to the mound, and Schuster will easily throw Vossler out.
That's that really good breaking ball that Patrick Schuster has. Getting the lefty to reach out there for it, make it look like a strike, end up a ball or on the edge, and really fool him. Watch this bender. Gets it off the end of the bat. A little routine 1-3 put out.
And that's going to do it for Schuster. Dave Roberts to the bullpen one more time here in the 9th inning with the Cubs in front 2-0. Tim Shibuya doesn't care about TV. He's firing during the break. Tim Shibuya into the game. Spent last year with an ERA around 3.5. And there's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. And now as a fly ball off to the left center field. Eibner comes on, won't get there. Dunks in for a base hit for Chesney Young.
You get your shot in a big league arena and you give up the blooper. You don't like to start that way, but I know the young man's out there excited and glad he's getting a chance.
Cruz Dominguez getting 4 ABs in this one. Started the game in the 9 spot. And corks one in the air down the left field line. Dixon moves over, and that thing will reach the berm. So just to update you, since I told you it was pulled up in here, that Northwestern Vanderbilt game. Vanderbilt goes up by 1 in the final seconds, and then brain fart, and they intentionally foul Northwestern. The kid goes down and sinks 2 free throws as a result. They go up by 1. There's now 2 seconds left, and Northwestern is set to get the ball. Oh, you just, like, your heart breaks for the kid that had the brain fart.
So you can intentionally foul before the clock even starts?
No, the guy was dribbling the ball up the floor.
I'm saying now to try and get the ball back.
Oh, you can do that. No, you can do that.
So they could still be
though
2 seconds and down by 2 or 3. Yeah, no, it was.
Ball's hit well to right center field. Eibner not going to get there. One hops off the wall. Young comes for the plate and scores on a double for Chris Dominguez, and the Cubs lead 3-0.
He's inside this, drives it to the right spot out there. Really not hit that well, but when you hit it in the gap, it's a long run for the center fielder and a long run for the right fielder, and it finds its home in the gap for a double.
Runner at second and one gone, and Taylor Davis looking at strike one. Singled his first time up there. Gone final. Northwestern wins by 2 over Vanderbilt. Its first NCAA tournament game. Bouncing ball to Jose Miguel Fernandez. Runner advances to third. Bellinger holds on to it, 2 away.
Shibuya's really come in and done a pretty nice job. The blooper to left field, the double was pretty much a routine fly ball, just hitting the right place, and now that ground ball, just stick with it. Baseball probabilities got him as far as the ball falling in, but continue to execute your pitches.
Former Twins farmhand. It's a Los Angeles native, Shibuya is. Was born in LA, then went to high school in Wyoming. Went to UC San Diego for college. A high drive off of the bat of Hanneman to left center field, and that thing bounces off of the top of the wall. Into second with a double goes Hanneman. And so 4-0 as Young scores from third on a ball that was struck well.
This is the one really to get squared up right here. Nice piece of hitting. Had a top hand off the bat. Was able to maintain the bat speed to get it out there. A little bit of a glare right there and an odd route to that ball. Maybe could have had a shot at catching it.
So that one hop off the wall. Even on the replay, I had a hard time seeing it. Ball one on Candelario.
At this point in the game, we can show it again and really try and dissect it.
Sure. Let's dive in. You got a telestrator over there?
Not right now.
Not yet.
Here we go. Where does this ball hit?
It one hopped off.
One hop, yeah.
I said double. I was right.
That's why I thought it was such an odd route. He's at the wall and the ball fell short of it.
Sure. Ninth Cubs hit of the day, out hitting the Dodgers 9-2. And leading the Dodgers 4-0. Fly ball to left. This one Dixon settles under and brings it into this ninth. Cubs add 2, and it's 4-0 as we go to the bottom half where the Dodgers will take their last cuts. One in the first, one in the 8th, 2 in the 9th for the Cubs. Dodgers 2 hits, both doubles, one from Chris Taylor, one from Austin Barnes. But No true threats mounted against Chicago today. Second meeting of the spring between these clubs. They'll meet early on in the first road trip of the year for the Dodgers. Dodgers will go through Colorado and then Chicago, and it'll be the home opener for the Cubs. And so the banner raising ceremony should be some scene that Dodger fans will probably prefer to look away from.
Be some motivation for the team early on here in 2017. And you have to go to the ring ceremony and the banner raising ceremony of the team that knocked you out. It gives you a little renewed anger and focus.
Willie Calhoun starts the ninth with a base hit. And they will meet again late in May at Dodger Stadium. A weekend series should be an incredible atmosphere for the two teams that most people are figuring are the two best coming into the season in the National League. Humans and computers projecting these two as Charlie Culberson looks at ball one.
So they sometimes agree.
Sometimes they do. That's when you know that you got something. There's one projection system that has said that the Dodgers will win 99 games. Last time they won 99 games, 1974. There's Pacoda Baseball Prospectus projection system. There's a 2-0. Culberson fouls it off 2-1.
We won 91 last year, Dodgers. 2.5 months without Clayton Kershaw. Could that be the reason they pumped it up to 99?
That's something that I don't know a ton about. What goes into the projections? Obviously, past performance does, but I'm not sure exactly how they come up with those numbers. A lot of people that are a lot smarter than I am. Look at that. 3-1. Dodgers 4 consecutive 90-win seasons. That's the second longest streak in franchise history. Go back to the Boys of Summer in Brooklyn in the early 50s. They had 6 consecutive 90-win seasons. Culberson earns the walk, and the Dodgers have something brewing here in the 9th inning. First time today they've had multiple base runners aboard in one inning. And Cody Bellinger coming to the plate.
And they could pull within 1 run right here very quickly with one swing from Cody Bellinger. He has an awful lot of pop. Light tower power.
Top power prospect in the minors. Talked about his smooth fielding ability earlier today at first base. He's also spent some time playing in the outfield. And in fact, played outfield regularly until he was a junior in high school. And then became exclusively a first baseman until last year when he started playing some outfield again while in the minors. We talked about it with some of the Cubs prospects. The more you can do.
Think about Cody, and you think Cody Bellinger, you think Austin Barnes. These are guys who play positions that traditionally guys that don't run. But Austin Barnes as a catcher has really good wheels. Cody Bellinger as a first baseman has really good wheels.
And by all accounts, really good kid. Yeah, to combine with being one of the top prospects in baseball. Smith to Bellinger with a 2-1. Yeah, there's that big old hack, 2-2.
He has a really good idea who he is as a hitter and what his approach should be and how he wants the swing to work. One of the days in uniform for me, got to kind of rest on the back of the batting cage and watch other guys hit as he was getting prepared with his group to be next, and had a nice long chat with him. And really understood. He has a really good head on his shoulders.
Plays off, full count. Son of a former big leaguer, Clay Bellinger. That certainly helps. You see so many guys with advanced field that have been around the game at a level like that.
Yeah, you are so right. I think the professional sports background of Trace Thompson and his family has really helped him. The work ethic that it's going to take to be a big leaguer on a daily basis.
Dunninger down swinging for the first out of the night.
Like a little bit of a changeup, took a little off right there. The target was kind of down the middle. Looked like he was out in front, and the ball had good sink at the end.
Stetson Ollie comes up.
Another guy who's got outstanding power.
Smashes it foul, strike one. Again tomorrow night, Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers against the Seattle Mariners. Right here on Sportsnet LA, right here in Glendale, Arizona. Under the lights. It was a sellout today, and folks braved the midday temperatures for it. Should be beautiful tomorrow for that one. This is rolled to short. They get one there, and a low throw dug out to finish the game. And so the Cubs beat the Dodgers in this one 4-0. Getting single runs in the first and in the 8th, and adding 2 in the 9th in his 6-4-3 double play to cap the afternoon.
Another day, another dollar, but these guys are getting ready for the season. The Dodgers lose, but a lot of positive things here today from different guys.
That does it for us for now. For Oral and Alana, Joe Davis saying so long from Camelback Ranch. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. Dodgers and Mariners and Clayton Kershaw taking the ball for LA. Now we get you to John and Jerry. Access Sportsnet Dodgers.